The truth is, no one teaches men how to be men. They just tell you to be strong, but no one explains what strength actually means. You grow up in a world that praises ease, normalizes weakness, and labels assertiveness as toxic. They want you soft, easy to control, quick to betray yourself just to please others. But if there's still a trace of dissatisfaction in your gut, if some part of you still believes there's more to life than just getting by, if you've ever asked yourself, am I becoming a man worth respecting or just playing a role to get through the day? Then this video is for you. I'll show you 8 signs of a truly grown man. Not the kind of man fabricated by social media, but the real kind, the disciplined kind, the deep kind. Watch to the end. You might just surprise yourself. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. None of us is immune to pain. It's as certain as death and taxes. But how you respond to pain, that's what separates you from the average guy dragging himself through life with a business card and a fake smile. When life hits you in the face, through loss, betrayal, failure, or just those endless shitty days, you don't curl up like a coward. You don't look for someone to blame. You don't crave pity. You stare it down. You swallow the anger, the self-pity, the disappointment, and you use it. Use it to move forward, sharper, colder, harder. That's the first and deepest sign that you're a grown man. Not because you don't feel, but because you don't let feelings run your life. You run your feelings. You don't say, I can't handle this. You say, good, now watch what I do with it. Others reach for a bottle, you train. Others complain, you plan. Others give up. You start again from zero, the 10th time just like the first. That's not stupidity or stubbornness. That's courage. The only thing a man truly needs to live fully. You might not even realize it, but when you stop fearing pain, you become magnetic. Not because you've got muscles or a silver tongue, but because you show people something rare in this soft era: grit. That's what makes women trust you, makes other men respect you, and lets you sleep in peace at night. So if you're broken, desperate, lost, good. That's exactly where you need to be. Because nothing worth having ever came from the comfort zone. But only if you choose to stand up. Not just to survive, but to become the strongest damn thing to rise from the ashes life just buried you in. You're a man. Act like it. A man who's lost control is no different than a wild animal let loose from its cage. Dangerous? Maybe. Trustworthy? Never. Real strength isn't in rage or a booming voice in the boardroom. It's in knowing when to stay silent, staying calm when everyone else is losing their grip. You no longer explode when insulted. You don't lose your composure just because someone disagrees with you. You don't need to yell to prove you're right. And when needed, you know how to step back. Not out of fear, but because you understand this. The winner isn't the loudest guy in the room, but the one who knows when to strike and when to wait. Emotional control doesn't mean being numb. It means you command yourself even under pressure, even when everything around you is falling apart. People love to say, men have the right to be vulnerable too. Sure, but no one respects a man who lets his emotions drive him like a toddler throwing a tantrum in the middle of a grocery store. You know what kills more relationships, opportunities, and careers than anything else? It's not lack of talent. It's not bad luck. It's knee-jerk reactions. Acting in anger, deciding in fear, saying the wrong thing while still bleeding inside. How many men have torched everything they've built just because they couldn't control a few seconds of emotion? You've grown when you learn this. Reacting is instinct. Controlling is power. You choose reason over rage. You choose observation over retaliation. And that's what sets you apart. You become attractive, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're the anchor in the storm. And people cling to that. You don't have to be cold. You just have to be unmoved by every passing wave. So when people say you're emotionless, smile. They don't understand. You feel deeply. You just don't let temporary emotions destroy permanent things. The world needs men like you, not because you're perfect, but because you can stay grounded while everyone else is coming undone. If you're still living to please the world, I've got bad news for you. You've never truly lived. A grown man doesn't need a cheering crowd to feel valuable. He doesn't need 1,000 likes to know he's on the right path. He doesn't need praise every time he does the right thing. Because his worth doesn't come from someone else's mouth. It comes from discipline, from action, from looking himself in the mirror each morning and knowing he's living true to what he believes. Sounds heavy? Good, because being a man isn't a beauty pageant. It's a silent war with yourself. Weak men laugh with people they despise, flirt with women they don't respect, and pretend to be someone they're not, just to be accepted. They live like distorted mirrors, reflecting everyone else's expectations. But not you. You know exactly who you are, even if the whole world never tells you they get it. You can stand alone, not out of arrogance, but because you don't need a crowd to validate your identity. You don't post every good deed online. You don't need applause to know you're on the right track. You only need one thing: self-respect. And that's what makes you magnetic. People are drawn to that quiet pride. That kind of man who isn't desperate to impress, doesn't shout for attention, doesn't bow down for approval. A wise woman sees it, a petty man fears it. But everyone knows it's real power. If you're still chasing validation, stop. That's the loop that kills millions of men every single day. They live by someone else's standards, then wonder why they always feel empty. You're different, or you want to be. Then start by living by your own standards. You don't need agreement. You don't need permission. You just need the guts to stand alone. One of the hardest things for a man to do isn't lifting weights or chasing deadlines. It's looking his own mistakes in the face and saying, "I take responsibility." Why is that so rare? Because most men were raised in a culture that taught them being wrong is weakness, admitting it is failure, and turning back is shameful. So they learn to blame others, blame circumstances, blame their parents, the government, even the universe, anything but themselves. But you're different. You understand this. If you don't take responsibility for everything in your life, even the things you didn't cause, you'll always be a victim. And victims never grow. Victims don't make decisions. They only complain. A real man doesn't fear being wrong, because he knows that every time he owns a mistake, he moves one step closer to the better version of himself. He doesn't dodge reality. He faces the consequences. And most importantly, he makes it right. Not with words, through action. What makes a man attractive isn't that he's always right. It's that he has the guts to make things right. That kind of man earns trust. That kind of man, even when he falls, people still want to follow. Because he shows that failure isn't the end, it's the start of a higher standard. On the flip side, the man who never admits fault is the man who never learns a damn thing. He lives in the illusion of being untouchable, until reality slaps him in the face with the same failure over and over, and he still doesn't get it. You're not that guy. You own your mistakes, you learn from them, and you return to the fight with new scars and new wisdom. That's grit. That's why you're worthy of respect. That's why you're walking the path of a grown man. Not because you're flawless, but because you don't fake it. Admitting you were wrong, taking full responsibility, and moving forward. This isn't weakness. It's the quiet strength only real men possess. If this video made you think, hit like now. Comment below. How have you applied Stoicism in your life? Stoic success, unbreakable mindset, total control. There's a kind of man this world is severely lacking. The one who lives by a standard and defends it at all costs, even if it means being disliked. Why is that man so rare? Because living by principle demands something most people run from: loneliness. When you draw clear lines in how you live, how you work, what you tolerate and what you won't, a lot of people won't like it. They'll call you stubborn, rigid, difficult. And they'll try to bend you, test you, even smear you, just to see if you'll break. But you don't break. You stand tall. Because you understand this. If you compromise your values just to be accepted, you've already sold yourself out. No one forced you to kneel. You chose it. Your principles aren't some slogan printed on a t-shirt. They're how you behave when no one's watching, how you do business even when no one's checking, how you say no even when that no might cost you a relationship, a deal, or an advantage. And the paradox is, that very refusal to compromise is what makes you magnetic. People look at you and know, this guy can't be controlled. This guy's real. And in a world drowning in fakery and spineless character, truth shines like a torch. This doesn't mean you're inflexible. A man of principle isn't closed-minded. But he knows the difference between adapting to grow and bending to please. He chooses the former. He learns, he adjusts, but he never betrays his core. If you're that man, understand this. You'll never be everyone's favorite. And you shouldn't be. All you need is to live in a way that, at the end of the day, when no one's around, you can look in the mirror and not feel disgusted by who's staring back. You might lose a few friends, you might miss out on some chances, but you'll keep the rarest thing a man can possess, respect from himself. And once you have that, the right things will find you, slowly but surely. Real and lasting. Let's face it, most men only start getting their act together when their ego takes a hit, dumped, insulted, humiliated. They hit the gym, buy flashy clothes, read self-help books, not to actually grow, but to win validation, to clap back with a new and improved image. But you're not like them. You don't take care of yourself to prove anything to anyone. You do it for one reason: you respect yourself. You eat clean, not to show off your healthy meals online, but because you understand, your body is the only vehicle you've got for this ride through life. If it's weak, you're weak. If it's slow, your plans crawl. Health isn't something to worry about when you're old. It's the foundation that keeps you from living like an old man while you're still young. You train, not to catch eyes at the gym, but to beat the laziness that hits every morning. You read, you learn, not to flash your intellect, but because you refuse to be another clueless man in a world that's changing by the hour. You don't need compliments like you look better or you sound smarter. Those are side effects. The real reward is when you face the mirror and know the man looking back is a better version than yesterday. What makes you attractive isn't muscles or designer fits. It's the presence of a man who refuses to neglect himself. And there's nothing more magnetic than that. People sense it before you even say a word. Your presence carries weight, not because you're loud, but because you're solid. Not because you dress yourself up, but because you've invested in every layer of who you are, physically, mentally, and mentally. That's real presence, the kind no cologne can fake. If you've ever thought self-care was luxury or vain, think again. It's not vanity, it's discipline. It's the act of kindness you give yourself before you expect anyone else to. And only when you treat yourself like you're worth taking care of, will the world start doing the same. Saying no is one of the simplest acts linguistically, but one of the hardest psychologically. Weak men don't know how to say it. They nod out of habit. They're afraid of upsetting others, afraid of being disliked, afraid of losing approval, so they sell out their time, energy, and even their self-respect just to keep the peace. But you chose a different path. You don't say yes just because someone expects it. You don't sacrifice your values just to maintain a fake harmony. You've grasped something most people never do. Every time you say no to someone else, you say yes to yourself. Saying no is how you protect your boundaries. You weren't born to please the entire world. You're not responsible for carrying the emotional weight of people who don't respect your time or your space. You have goals, you have a mission, and you won't let anyone, whether it's a friend, a lover, or a boss, pull you off track just because they can't handle rejection. And if someone's disappointed because you didn't do what they wanted, good, let them be disappointed. If a single no is enough to make them turn on you, that relationship should have ended long ago. You don't build your life on the fake loyalty of people who only stick around when you say yes. A grown man understands this. Saying no isn't selfish, it's respect. Respect for yourself first, so you have the strength to respect others. No one can give fully to those around them while being drained from within by forced obligations. The more you master the ability to say no without apologizing, the clearer, stronger, and more magnetic you become. Because you're not an emotional dumping ground for other people's baggage. You're a fortress, a boundary that doesn't bend on demand. And that fortress? Only those who are worthy, genuine, and sincere earn the right to walk through its gate. We all fall into dark holes sometimes. Things happen that you don't deserve. People betray you, opportunities get stolen, your health collapses, your career crashes. The world seems to turn against you. And yes, you have the right to hurt, to be exhausted, to sit down. But you don't have the right to make yourself a permanent victim. A grown man can be shattered, but he never plays the victim because he knows one brutal truth. No one cares about your sob story as much as you think. This world doesn't stop to console anyone. It keeps moving, with or without you. You can choose to sit still and blame your family, society, the education system, the economy, bad luck, even God. And sure, you'll get sympathy, but sympathy doesn't pull you out of the mud. It just makes you feel less bad, so you can stay stuck a few more years. The real man knows the ultimate responsibility is always his, even when it's not his fault. Why? Because no one is coming to fix your life but you. You don't choose where you start, but you're fully responsible for where you end up. That's not easy. It takes swallowing bitterness, swallowing pride, and swallowing the illusion that you deserve better. Because the truth is, you don't deserve anything unless you've acted hard enough to earn it. The moment you stop playing the victim, you switch from passive to powerful. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What's my next move?" That question alone is what separates you from the masses. And right then, you come alive again. Not as a guy waiting for a rescue, but as a real man, ready to rebuild everything with his own two hands from the ruins left behind. If you're at rock bottom, listen carefully. You may not have started the fire, but you're the only one holding the extinguisher. Choose to get up. No one's doing it for you. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.